For me, I started out, of course, with they weren't making the nanowebs at the time, but I play straight medium gauge nanoweb Elixir Strings. I started out with the polyweb, and I like the polyweb, but the nanoweb for me just added a little bit of brightness. For me, the same longevity. They just last forever and ever and ever. The strings, with this, for this guitar especially too, I don't believe all strings necessarily, the same type of string sounds the best on all instruments. But man, when I put the first set of Elixirs on this guitar, there was not a doubt in my mind that if I was not an endorser, I would still be using these strings. There's no other comparison. Well, I remember the first strings that I received. I was at the Telluride Music Festival in Telluride, Colorado, and there was Elixir up there apparently who had spread some strings backstage. I'm a musician. I saw free strings. I took a couple packs. I put them in my guitar case, and kind of forgot about them. Really, they were in there for a very long time before I had found myself at a session. I was at a studio and I was getting ready to record guitar, and I forgot my gig bag. I didn't have my little, I have a little bag that has clippers and strings and, miscellaneous stuff. Well, the only thing I had was that set of Elixirs, so I told the guy who I was recording for that I was going to try a different set of strings. I said, if we don't like them, I'll go home and, get my stuff, and, we'll be fine. And I put them on, and the first note I hit in the microphone, he pressed the button, he said, yes. And at that time, I had no idea how clean they were going to sound. I mean, not only with your left hand sliding up and down and having less noise than any of the other strings, but the pick. How much of a difference it made with the pick sliding off of the string. It just didn't grab at all, and it freed up my right and my left hand. There was no doubt after that first day I was an Elixir man. For me, it gives me confidence in knowing that even if I find myself, in a last-minute situation, the strings are always going to sound good. I have never, the only time I ever find myself changing them at all is out of fear of breaking them. Throughout my career, I have consistently changed my strings once a day, for each show. That was part of the pre-show routine, was you put on a set of strings, you play the show, and there would be an audible difference between the way they sounded at the beginning of a show and at the end of a show. With the Elixir strings, I've played as many as, we won't tell anyone, 6 or 7 shows, without changing the strings, until I finally would just be afraid, okay, they're bound to break, so I would change, so I'll change them. I typically get at least 3 shows out of a set of strings before I even start to fear that I might break them. I mean, I play with a really heavy hand, and if they can handle this right hand, they can take anything. When I joined Allison and Union Station, guitar wasn't my instrument. I was a mandolin player pretty much up until that time, and I went looking for a guitar, and this one just kind of found me. I wanted early on I kind of wanted an 18 model because I liked the thought of a guitar that's microphone friendly. A lot of the pre-war herringbones sound fantastic, sitting down to play behind them. When you're playing them to a microphone, don't necessarily give you the quality that you need to be able to cut, to be able to project the high mids. And so I was kind of looking for an 18, and when I found this one, I found this in Bass Mountain, North Carolina, and I tried to drive away from it twice. The first guy who mentioned it to me tracked me down and said, "Were you the guy that was looking for a guitar?" And I said, "Well, I'm kind of looking." And he said, "Well, I know of one." And I asked what it was, and he kind of looked over his shoulder and said, "Well, I think it's a Martin." And I needed to go, and I kind of took that as, that it was probably, there's a lot of Martins. I was looking for, something special. And as I was driving away, a different gentleman ran up and said, "Were you wanting to see a guitar?" And I asked him, I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "Well, it's one you'll want to see." And that's the answer I was looking for, And when I opened the case, I saw this beautiful dark top. Didn't notice the herringbone binding around it. I just saw the top of it and thought, wow, it was kind of beat up looking, which made me think I could maybe afford it. And as soon as I noticed this binding right there, I looked at it and I kind of ran my finger on it, and I went, "Oh my goodness!" And I thanked him for it, and I said, "I can't afford it." And, I just realized what it is, and I said, "Thanks, but probably can't do this one." And as it turned out, I went to my friendly banker, and he was able to fix me up. So I paid on it for a few years. But this is my first guitar, and man, if there was only one left on the planet, this would be the one. This is my baby. I don't know what the connection is. I mean, first of all, it's rare in that, well, in '46, firstly they didn't scallop the braces, so they tended to have a little brighter sound, a little less of that woofy, herringbone sound that I mentioned. Now, someone has gone since then and scalloped these braces. The braces in this guitar are actually tapered and scalloped. Now, I think you could probably do that to 1,000 other guitars, and never have this exact guitar. They're individuals. This for me, I don't know what to say about it. I think one of the things that draws me to it is that there's no other one like it. I mean, in so many ways, it's been changed and messed with. In '46, it had dots here instead of the diamonds and the squares, and someone had apparently worn out the fingerboard on this guitar, and they were able to salvage this fingerboard from a '39 Dreadnought guitar that was badly damaged in the body. They could not replace the body, but they were able to salvage the fingerboard. So they put the fingerboard on, tapered it down to the neck, and took a little extra meat off of the neck here, which gives it a unique feel. For me, when I grab any other guitar, blindfolded, I could pick this out of a million. There's no other guitar that has, this feel to the neck. A lot of it is that. I mean, I really kind of got into guitar when I started playing with Allison, and this is, my first guitar that I ever really spent any real amount of time playing. So it's the feel that, it's the only feel I know. It's the only thing that I understand as far as how the necks. I felt other necks that feel great, but this one speaks to me. Well, for me, this past June, we released my second solo project entitled Wheels. It's out on Rounder Records. Comprised mostly of original music, some for myself, other bandmates, other writers that I know, and it was a long time coming. I think it's been about 8 years since the last solo project, and I think it was just somewhere I guess I was waiting for this combination of people. Adam Steffi, Ron Stewart, Barry Bales, Justin Moses, the guys that I'm out traveling with in the Dan Tyminski band are the guys who recorded this record, and they are all in their own right just the most phenomenal musicians. I mean, they will be the people that the young guys are listening to for years to come. They're just fundamentally amazing musicians, and when we got together, it really felt special. It made me excited about recording for the first time in a while. The title cut is a Patrick McDougall song entitled Wheels. Just kind of somewhat of a feel-good song. The groove of it is pleasant. It's a song that I think that you can listen to more than one time, and still be okay with it. You can put it on and feel comfortable with it. It was the first song that I had. A friend of mine handed me a demo CD and said, I heard this song and it just sounds like something you might want to do. And it's not too often that I listen to a song and immediately know that it's something that I want to record, and that song kind of had that quality. First listen, it just sounded like something that would be fun to record. When I played it for the guys, they liked it, and it kind of got us started on our path to this record.